Good morning. So we've finished day 3 of Life Mastery. We're on day 4. We got 2 more days left today and back. It is always interesting to hear the story. You know, Pitbull talks about how, he should have never made it. He's an immigrant from Cuba who has blue eyes, and he's living in Miami, and he decides to become a rapper. That should have never worked, but obviously it did. And when he was a kid, when his mom would drive him to school, his mom would make him listen to Tony Robbins. And that's why the two of them are such good friends. And the story that always resonated with him was Colonel Sanders, because Colonel Sanders went to like 1,007 people before he found somebody that would buy his chicken recipe for fried chicken. I remember Colonel Sanders didn't start this until he was 63 or 65. And this is back when people didn't live to be, when our president wasn't 78 years old, when 70 years old was considered to be pretty old. So it's amazing what he ended up accomplishing. And that was what Pitbull kept remembering when he went through his life and when he started down his road in order to be a music star. But at the same time, he said, some interesting stuff. You always hear me say, the people you surround yourself with is who you become. His phrase was, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And that resonated with him when he was a kid. He goes, I remember Tony Robbins saying, whoever you surround yourself with is who you become. And I looked around and everybody around me was selling drugs and doing drive-bys. And I just decided I had to do something different. And even though he was living in a neighborhood where that was the case all the time, he did everything he could to be around record executives and anybody else who was successful. He also, you can tell, constantly has an attitude of whatever is happening, I'm going to try to use it to my advantage. And he even talked about that with this shutdown, how what he's doing right now in order to try to use this to his advantage. But he always looked at that as anything that was going on in his life. And he told story after story after story of situations where things were, bad. They were really bad. He grew up in a really rough neighborhood, and most of the people that he grew up with are dead. And while he was going through all that, whatever happened that didn't go right, he always looked at it as, this is part of the journey, this is part of the process, everything is going to work out, and everything is going to make it. And then Lauren LaHave is one of the speakers, and I've known Lauren for a long time, and she said something yesterday. There's so many things at one of these events that it goes on and on and on. One of the big ones I'm going to talk to you about tomorrow, but she said, the quickest way to get past something or to get over something is to go through it. And I'd actually never heard that before. That was new. And that, I wrote that one down when I heard that. The quickest way to get over something is to go through it. When you drive yourself through whatever it is that you're working with, whatever it is that you're dealing with, when you just decide, I'm done, and you go through it, then it's over. Because the thought of going through it means you break through it. The whole message of what Tony did the last several days. Break through. Are you breaking down? No, I'm breaking through. And when you break through, you've destroyed that old situation, and now you're into something new. We spent a lot of time yesterday talking about how you can change your relationship to events. So, even a little thing like a food that you crave, that you don't want to crave, you can take that food and you can completely change how you feel about it. And you could do it consciously, and then it'll start to work into your subconscious. So, let's say that you crave pizza. If you look at a pizza, you could make that so that you crave it more, or you make that so that you could crave it less. And that's something I'm going to go over in this. I'm going to do another seminar. I'll do it in February. And we're going to go over the triad, and we're going to go over this thing it's called a mood meter. We're going to go over that stuff in detail so that you can learn how to do all those various ideas. But quickest way to get over something is to go through it. 2 things that you should hear today. quickest way to get over something is to go through it, and you're in charge. The one thing the mood meter shows us is we are in charge of our emotions. We are in charge of our responses. We have to take charge of those things. It's something that you have to do intentionally, and then it'll start to happen automatically as it becomes a habit. But just understand that you can. So the things that you think you're addicted to, meaning, and I don't mean if you're addicted to heroin, I mean if you think, I'm addicted to chocolate, or I'm addicted to pizza, or I'm addicted to sweets, those things can be managed, and they actually can be managed pretty easily if you understand the techniques in order to do that. Just like we talk about that you are in charge of your response to any event. No event has any meaning except the meaning we give it. You've heard me say that 100 times. And it's in that moment of decision that your destiny is shaped, from the time when something happens until the time when you respond. All of these things are designed to help you manage that. And the better that you manage that moment, that's the quality of your life. That's going to decide if you have a happy life or don't have a happy life right there. Is how you do in that moment. And then the first thing you heard on this, whoever you surround yourself with is who you become. Those two things are the number two things in order to decide the quality of your life. So next seminar I do, we're going to work on that triad in great detail, and we're going to go over that mood meter. But just understand, you are in charge of how you feel about all of that stuff. Take charge. This body is under your control. We're the ones that decide what happens. And make sure you guard your doors. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. I thought that was pretty good. Way to go, Pitbull. Have a great day. I hear there's a huge snowstorm coming my way. I will be downstairs crewing the next day of this event. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.